Yo, what's going on guys, it's Bunks here, and today I'm going to be showing you how you can make millions of units when you're just starting out in No Man's Sky. With all these units you can purchase products and resources from the Galactic Trade Terminal, as well as an exosuit and multi-tool upgrades. Later on, when you make even more units, you can purchase starships, freighters and frigates from aliens. So let's crack on and get into this money making business. Before we crack on, why not hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss a No Man's Sky video. So the first thing we're going to talk about is Cobalt. This is quite common on most planets and it is worth more than you might think it's going to be. One Cobalt is worth around about 200 units, so if you manage to collect say 500 of these, you're going to get yourself about 100,000 units straight away. Cobalt can be found in caves and you're going to easily be able to get 500 from most caves you find. Make sure you rinse that cave dry and get as much cobalt as you can carry so you can sell it all at the nearest space station. The next two things we're going to talk about are gold and platinum. Now you're going to have to be in your spaceship and flying around in space to get these. So when you're in space admiring the wonderful scenery that No Man's Sky has to offer, you're going to see a shed load of asteroids. And this is where you're going to find platinum, gold, amongst other things like tritium and silver. Silver is the most common thing you're going to get from asteroids, and it's still worth a bit, so if you can carry some, you may as well get some and sell it on at the space station. But what you really want is gold and platinum. Now gold is worth about 350 units each, so let's say you used to have 500 gold, you'd be able to sell it all for about 175,000 units. Platinum is worth just that little bit more than gold, and you can get 500 units for each element of platinum. So again, if you get 500 of these, you've got yourself a tasty 250,000 units at any galactic space terminal. In part 3, we're going to be talking about chlorine. If you're lucky enough to land on a planet containing plenty of salt, you're in for a treat because you're going to be able to make millions here. When you throw salt into a refiner, it will transform into chlorine, and 1 unit of chlorine is worth around about 600 units on a space station. Again, to save you getting a calculator out, 500 chlorine would get you about 300,000 units. Everywhere I've found salt, it has been abundant, so you'll be able to get hundreds and hundreds of chlorine and make a few million here. You want a quicker solution to get millions of units from chlorine, I hear you say? Well, you're in for a treat. Because if you have constructed yourself a medium-sized refiner, or 3, and have plenty of oxygen and chlorine stocked up, you can use this refiner to turn 1 chlorine and 2 oxygen into 6 chlorine. Yes, you heard that right, 6 chlorine from 1, and 2 oxygen. This will increase your unit count 6-fold, so winner winner, chicken dinner. So those 300,000 units you got from 500 chlorine earlier, it's going to turn into 1.8 million units from 3,000 chlorine. And if you have 3 refiners or enough chlorine oxygen to do this 3 times, that's 5.4 million units of chlorine you can sell on a space station. So best get to refining. Moving on from chlorine, when you're in space flying around, make sure you've scanned all the nearby planets for any goodies, or lack of, that they contain. Now for step 4, you're going to want to be looking out for ancient bones. They aren't the most common thing around, so you may have to go to another system to find these, but it'll be worth it in the long run. Once you find a planet with ancient bones, head on down to the surface to go dig them dead-ass aliens up. The value of these bones will vary, so you could be lucky and get one that's worth upwards of 1.7 million, but you could get one that's worth 50,000. Either way, you should be able to collect plenty and earn millions from this. Now, there are 3 types of ancient bones that you can come across: common, uncommon, or rare. Yep, you've guessed it, the rare ones are worth more than the common ones. Those pesky common ancient bones. So the common ones can get you between 50,000 and 125,000 units. a piece. The uncommon ones will be worth around 200,000 to 750,000 units. And finally, those rare ones are going to be worth 700,000 to 1.7 million units. So hopefully you'll be lucky and find some rare ones. The most I've got for one is 700,000, but I've hit 500,000 a few times. I've sadly not yet got one over 1 million, but I'm keeping searching. Now on to the fifth thing where you can make some more money. One thing to look out for on most planets is buried technology. But a word of advice here, you want to follow the initial base building quests and use up any salvage data to build technology and construction things. And to get these, you're going to have to use buried tech. You want to get to the point where you've got a hyperdrive so you can jump between systems before you go about selling any salvage data you get from buried technology. And if you're struggling to find any salvage data or buried tech, check out my other video. I'll leave a link in the description that tells you exactly how to find it. Now, if you've got your hyperdrive and already purchased a good amount of blueprints for construction and technology in your base, but you are overly interested in building a super mega awesome base at the moment in time, you can sell the rest of your salvage data. Each piece of salvage data is worth around 50,000 units. So if you have 20 of these, and it's not hard to get 20, you're going to get yourself a cool 1 million units. What I did is I found a planet with a shed load of buried technology, built myself a base so I could easily just walk back to it and get some more for whenever I need to for various reasons. Whether that be I need more blueprints or I just want an extra few million units. So I'd advise doing that as well. Moving on from there, number 6, we have Salvage Scrap. Not to be confused with salvage data, this salvage scrap is more similar to ancient bones in the fact that you're going to either get a common, uncommon or rare one. And again, the values differ between each. So you could get one that's worth 100,000 units, or you could get one worth up to 2.8 million units, depending on how lucky you are. Now the icon to look out for here is very similar to the buried technology module one, but instead it's sort of a goldy orangey colour instead of a blue colour. So keep an eye out for these. Salvage scrap can be found underground, so make sure you've got a terrain manipulator built. And they're also surrounded by usually 2 protective casings, one of which could be sticking out of the ground. Now a word of warning for these protective casings, if you destroy the one out of the ground, you're likely going to be jumped by 2 sentinels, so make sure you're expecting that to happen. And once you've removed the 2 protective casings, then you can collect your prize. So collecting salvage scrap again will be random. Common ones can be worth anywhere between 100,000 and 350,000 units. Uncommon scrap will get you around 400,000 to 1 million units, and if you're super lucky and get a rare scrap, this will get you between 1.1 and 2.8 million units. So it's definitely worth getting. So another thing you can do to get loads of units, and this time without even having to go to a trade terminal, is upgrading your scanner and making some discoveries from them. Now in this playthrough I've only got mine upgraded to B class so far, and scanning or discovering new fauna gets me around 8,000 units each, which in itself is quite good, but when you compare it to how much you can get when you fully upgraded your scanner, it's nothing at all really. If you manage to purchase 3 S-class scanner upgrades from space stations, you can end up getting a few 100,000 units per discovery. And these will go straight into your unit balance immediately, so you don't have to go anywhere. So it's definitely worth upgrading your scanner, and I'm currently working on getting mine to S-class. One of the most reliable ways to make money is accepting missions from vendors on space stations. So when you first start out, you're going to have a low rep, and the rewards for these missions aren't amazing, but they're still good. The more missions you complete, the higher your rep, and in turn, the bigger your rewards for each completed mission. Early on, you can be getting rewards of around 50,000 units, give or take, for low rep missions. And the higher rep missions, you can start getting hundreds of thousands of units each. It's worth noting that you won't always get units as a reward for these missions. You could get nanites, which again are important for things like upgrade modules, or you may get rewarded a bunch of components which you can either use or again sell on for a lot of units, so it's definitely worth doing these missions early on in the game to get yourself set up properly. Finally, I have some special mentions of items which can get a lot of units but aren't overly common. The first of these things are albumin pearls, I think that's how you say it. These are worth around 9,000 units each, and they can be found on planets within a plant pod after the pod has been opened. But a word of caution here, opening these pods and acquiring these pearls will cause sentinels to attack you straight away, so be prepared for that. Next up is Gravitino balls, and similarly to the albumin pearls, sentinels will attack you when you collect these, so make sure you're ready for them. These can be found on planets with aggressive sentinels, and each one of them is worth around 12,000 units, so if you've come across any, they're definitely worth picking some up. Larval cores are up next, and these drop out of a whispering egg when they are destroyed. If you don't pick them up within a few seconds, they will disappear, so you have to be quite quick here. And a word of warning, when you destroy the whispering egg, you're going to be greeted by some very, very aggressive biological horrors. So make sure you're ready for them and can grab the core as soon as possible before running away. The final special mention is vortex cubes. These can be found in and around caves, or they could be found above ground on a pedestal. And they're worth just under 6,000 units each. Again, a word of warning, if you find them on a pedestal and take the cube from the pedestal, this will cause sentinels to attack you straight away, so again, just be wary of that and be ready for it to happen. And there you have it, there's a few easy steps to making yourself a few million units early on in No Man's Sky. I hope you found this video useful, and if you did, why not hit those like and subscribe buttons so you don't miss any videos in the future. Thanks for watching, and catch you next time.